As you guys know, these amplifiers are rather big. And we have two of them. We have the processor and we have the little Zen piece, plus we have the power distribution. We have this one little space back here on both sides. We've gone ahead and covered these things in blue tape, and then we put rubber over the screw bolts because we don't want to scratch these things. And I've been staring at this for the better part of a half hour, just kind of like moving things around. And I think I've come up with a preliminary idea. What I want to do is I want to cut off all the way across the bottom portion of this carpet. There's a couple air vents behind here which we're not worried about because we're going to have plastic panels that are going to go here. They're not going to be in the way, and we'll leave breather rooms so that they can still vent gases. When you shut the doors, the windows don't blow out and all that. But I think doing that is going to free up some depth. The hard part I'm having is that, like, real estate this way is tough, but we might be able to go deep with real estate, maybe mount some of the fuse holders and stuff back behind. Still accessible, but where the inputs and outputs don't actually get in the way and we don't need room for them. To start, what we want to do, I have a fresh razor blade. Anytime you're cutting stuff like this, fresh razor blade. We're going to cut. Now, there's a taper that goes down like this. I want to leave that so that our plastic can go up to it and there'll be like a seam. Naturally, this panel's in my way, so I'll remove these panels on both sides. That way I can expose all this area, and then we'll cut it all up. The carpet's out the way I wanted it to come out, so we just cut along here, we cut underneath this, and it's still gonna be tight. My plan is to start on that side and build from the passenger side across over here to the driver's side. Now, thankfully, both the amps are the same size. We only have to tape up one of them to get us going. First piece is going to be a 12 by 22 piece. And the idea for that is that it's going to sit out here in this area. Panel 1 is in place. It's going to attach here. There's also some mounting down here that is holding it up, and then we put a brace behind it. So this is, once this gets screwed in, this isn't going to go anywhere. We're going to keep going that way and figure out the next step. So this next piece is going to be 23 by 11 and a half. Now I put a little notch in it here in the bottom corner because this is going to slide into our other piece, and we put that 1/2 inch on the bottom. So this should allow it to go inside of it. We just have to cut out the piece for the motor. second piece is in. This one was a little bit different. It tongues behind the first piece. So it's like this piece will have to go in, then this piece. And now let's work on the last piece over on the corner. So I went next door and I grabbed a power distribution block and a fuse distribution block, both 4. Even though we only have 2 amplifiers, we do have the DSP, and also in the instructions for the Zen, it says there is a chance you may need to use the same power source as you're using for the amplifiers. Just have it in case we need it. And now the plan is to make a mount that allows them to sit right here behind everything. Let's cut some more plastic. We have the basic shape of the panel that's going to go here. This is going to be the window for our fuse distribution access. This will screw in here. We need to make a mount that's going to hold these in place while this is out. My thought is it'd be nice if these could just stay here, and then we can bring the wires over and attach them into this while they're permanently affixed here. To do that, it's going to be kind of tricky though, because I need to come up with a mounting system that holds place. I might be able to make a panel that comes straight up and 90s into this, and then we could put some rivets into here and then hold that thing in. That actually sounds like a really good idea. Plan is to put a bottom on it that will press up against this to hold it all where it needs to go. That way nothing's gonna rattle. It all just kind of tongue and grooves into one another. This panel is going to screw up into this brace right here. What we've done is we've put a bend in it, we've heat formed it to the angle, and we've pre-drilled 2 holes in it. We're going to use nut certs, but to find the spots like where we need to drill, using a self-tapping screw and screwing this in place saves us some time. Now we already have 2 holes in there, and we can come back in with our drill them out bigger, and put our nut certs in. And we know they're exactly where we need it to be because we've already had this in its spot. I need to position these blocks so that one, we can replace the fuses if we need to, and also we can get our fingers in there to unpinch the cases off of the top. The only thing I'm kind of concerned with is, like, I know it's not going to go anywhere. I just don't know if I need more bracing. This corner right here is kind of loose. Have a piece come up, over, and attach to that. After many trips back and forth to the saw and the routers, we finished the mount for the amplifiers. Not mounting the amplifiers, just got the mount done. Now the mount is going to start on this piece here first. That'll go in and that'll have the duo attached to it, and that'll lock in place first. The second one will be attached here and will tongue into that one. And then the third will be the processor and the Zen, and of course the power wire that's going to stay put. So when we pull this panel off, those will still be there so that we can run our 0 gauge in. Our power wire is going to run across the top here, down and over. All that is just going to go up behind there. We don't have any RCAs or anything like that. We just have the data connections that are going to come out of the bit and then into these 2 amplifiers. The speaker wires we're going to run are going to go down this side for that side, and then come down this side over here for this side. We'll also have the DRC controller is going to come down this side as well. But that's it. That's how that's going to go. And each piece is going to lock into one another. Like there's a screw there. I have to drill that one over there, one over here. That'll hold the whole thing in place. Now the fun part starts of getting the amplifiers onto the boards and getting everything wired up. Dividing the amplifier into 3 pieces in order for it to fit in the car, because we needed the staggered layers to optimize the amount of room we had, is also making mounting them a bit of a challenge. But we have the first side done, so we have that passenger side all done, and this is it here. The ADAC link cables are zip tied along behind the panel here and come out right here. Once this slides into place, we can clip those in. We're still working on the middle section. The power wire comes out of the top, and that is going to be zip tied in along that frame rail on the top there. This is the passenger side mid-base wire. The driver's side mid-base wire is right here, and we'll run behind this along with the rest of these wires. But this one is done. We need some room because this thing is huge, so we're gonna set this in the car and get it out of the way. One other thing we need to do in the car is we're going to remove this portion of it for the actual wiring, because this is where we plan on zip tying in that power wire so that it can come down and attach into here. Fernando has started on the battery. We have the dual run of 0 gauge in, and trust me, it's a beast to get into this. One other thing before I get started back onto the amp board. Last night I took one of the little plexiglass plates home, this guy right here, and the purpose for that was we want to make something custom to go there. So right now we're making a test board. So when using the laser, acrylic is expensive, wood is not, so you make a mock-up first just to see if it all fits. If the measurements are right, you can go back and make an acrylic one. This is the factory piece here. This is our wood template. Let's test it on the amp. This is the factory, obviously. And this will be our new one. There's 2 of these on here, and they're both the same size. So we've come up with this Raptor one here, and the second one will be this 5-star F-150. I'll go ahead and get those loaded into the Glowforge, and while I'm wiring up the amp rack, they can do their thing. Engraving is what takes the longest amount of time when using the laser. To cut out that little wood piece, it took like 1.5 minutes. Add the engraving into it, you're probably looking about 20 minutes, depending on how complex the engraving is. Just to give you an idea if you're thinking about getting into the laser business. All right, now let's get back to wiring that amp up. And through the magic of time lapse, the second amplifier is wired up. Let's take a look. We have the ADAC cables. They wrap around and they come out over here. This is where the DSP is going, so these are just gonna pop in from behind. Piggyback, the way the processor works is channel 1 through 8 can all come off of output 1, and then output 2 is for 9 through 13. Since we're only doing 7 channels, we can piggyback these 2 amplifiers on top of one another. The 2 from the Duo will just plug right into here. All we've had to use is the meter length set. The power is going to go to those distribution blocks that sit about here. We have the rear and the tweeter bundled here, and the opposite side is right here. What we have to do now is get into the car. I'm gonna pull this out, set this amplifier in place over there, tongue in the other one, and just get everything laid out and their wires zip tied up. Once that's in, we can hook up the power, and the last thing to go in will be the processor, which I haven't even started working on yet. That's gonna be last, because I need to get these in so that when he's done with the battery, which is coming along nicely, power and ground come out of here, are screwed into the frame rail. Right now they're just hanging out over here on the battery. This took, what did we decide, 18 or 19 feet?
Well, because how we put the distribution block, it's 18 feet. Normally, It's 19 feet.
And we have the fuse holder mount coming in here. What he likes to do is this obviously gets attached, it runs around, and then the ground also gets zip tied into this, so it's one big heavy duty housing.
So power and ground comes over here, goes here, from here to the battery, so it's gonna be short and go straight to the battery and the ground.
Once we get that done, of course, we'll come back and take another look at that. Right now, I need to grab a panel tool because I have to remove the clips. We're gonna use this guy and we're gonna pull the remaining 2 clips. So there's one here. Wow, there's only 1 clip remaining. So we're gonna pull this one remaining. Probably need to pull this out and we'll get the carpet out of the way.